Hey y'all, welcome or welcome back to Babeinlibrary. It's your girl Lisa, and it is time for my Noir November TBR. Now, if you're new to my channel, you may be asking what is Noir November. Please know that all are welcome. This is a challenge that I created about 4 years ago right here on BookTube to help those that would always find themselves saying, next year I'll read more diversely, next year I'll try some different genres, next year I will pick up a Black author. I felt like, why put off tomorrow what you could do today? And so I created Noir November to help spotlight and showcase a lot of those Black stories that we're not seeing on YouTube, trying to make sure that everyone knew that there is a book written by a Black author with Black characters in every genre. While I primarily love romance, I do read Black fantasy. I read Black mystery. I read Black historical. I read Black sci-fi. And so if you're looking for an author that may have one of those genres for you, I'm going to give you some recommendations based on what I will be reading for the month. So that being said, I have roughly about 16 prompts, but I'm not going to read 16 books. I just like having a plan for any mood that I may be in. So we're going to start with Black historical, and this one is on my TBR, my 25 for 25, so I know I need to get it done before the end of the year, and I think Noir November is the perfect time, and I have the perfect author, which is going to be Beverly Jenkins' Destiny's Embrace. This is one that I had placed on my 25 for 25 with the idea that I needed to read more Beverly Jenkins. So I'm very excited to read this as my historical pick. I did jump into the series with the second book just because that premise enticed me, but I got to see this couple and how they interacted with our main couple in the second book, and so I needed to go back and read Destiny's Embrace. So this is book 1 in the Destiny series, featuring a gentleman that has money and wealth, and he's not looking for a wife. However, he is looking for a housekeeper, and that is what she sets out to do. So this is what I'll be reading for my historical pick. I do want to sprinkle in some nonfiction. So for my nonfiction piece, I am going to be picking 3 mothers: How the Mothers of Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and James Baldwin Shaped a Nation. This is by Anna Malika Tubbs. I just picked this one up at a book swap event, and I had always wanted to read the stories because we get to know the men, but we don't know how their lives were shaped, who instilled the values that they put into the world. And so it is very important that we see mothers and their contributions reflected in our society. So many times we're looking at their byproduct, but not looking at what foundational home that they came from. These are some of our icons and our pillars in our community, and it all stemmed from the values that was set forth by them. So I am very excited to read this one. I do have a memoir option, so I will be reading Asia Wilson's Dear Black Girls, How to Be Your True Self. This one is an ode to Asia's younger self and her giving some notes and advice. This is her memoir. And right now, Asia is absolutely hot in the streets. She has won 4 title championships. She is an MVP. She is killing it in the WNBA. And so I felt like it was time for me to read her memoir and get a little bit more closely related to Asia and listen to what she has to say. So this is what I will be picking up for my memoir option. Moving on to my favorite genre, which is romance. So I plan on picking up Fast by Millie Belazar. I hear that this is the most emotional read. It will absolutely wreck me and destroy me. And you know me, I love a good emotional read. So this one is also on my 25 for 25. I've been hearing nothing but great things, and I think this is calling my name. It's really centering a young woman who has a crappy dealt hand of life that's been given to her, and she finally finds someone that can help her through it, who will be the love of her life and try to weather the storm with her. So I'm very interested to reading Fast and hopefully loving it like everyone else. Now, I did want to center a new genre that I'm starting to pick up a lot more, starting to lean into, which is going to be urban romance or urban fiction. And so for that, I'm going to be continuing on in the Delgado series by starting with Capadonna. This is the second chapter of siblings within the Delgado. We started off with Capone, and now I'm reading Capadonna, and Capadonna is supposed to be everyone's favorite Delgado, and so I'm very interested to see what Capadonna has up for us as he's coming out of prison and trying to find his way back in the world. A lot of these books have various different pages, so I feel like it's very important to mix it up with some lighter reads or mix it up with some shorter reads. So one of the things that I wanted to capture with Noir November is saying, hey, try to start with a novella. See if you're looking for a new author with a smaller set of work that you can jump into. And so for that, I'll be picking up Make Me Confess by Sherelle Green. This one is the second in the Confession series. This one is only 57 pages, and it has one of my favorite tropes, which is older woman, younger man. And it has a little extra something sprinkled in there because the older woman is targeting her best friend's youngest brother. So I'm very interested in picking up this one and seeing what Sherelle Green has in store for me. I also want to read a Black mystery, and I think the perfect mystery to read for the fall season is going to be The Princess and the P.I. This is the newest release of Nikki Payne, and I've been hearing really great things about this one. This one has a church girl who's always kind of been a good girl, but she's been accused of murder that she did not do, and so it is up to her to sleuth around and work with this private investigator to clear her name. So very interested to pick this one up. I did get to meet Nikki when she came to my city and she was signing this book, and listening to her kind of talk about the adventures that they get into and how our female main character starts to open up and become the woman she wants to be and get away from the church that she has been brought up to believe that she should be one way, and she's finding out exactly who she should be in this book. So this is what I will be picking up. As far as Black fantasy, what I'm choosing to pick up for this one is probably one of my most anticipated reads for the year. That is going to be Annie Davenport's latest release, which comes out in November, which is Our Vicious Oath. This one is a Black fae where there's a female fae and a male fae, and they are from rivaling kingdoms. There are fangs. There is delicious throne scene. I am seeing all of the visuals for this one, and I hear it is nothing but Black joy and goodness, and so I'm very interested in getting to read this one. N.E. Davenport has not let me down yet, so I have high hopes for Our Vicious Oaths. Being able to see rivals to lovers and see it done in a fantasy world just sounds immaculate to me. Now, when it comes to Black young adults, what I'm also going to be picking up is Bones at the Crossroads. This was a recent release that came out, I believe, in July, and I do have an art copy, as well as we'll be picking up the audiobook for this. This one is centering a Black male character, which I love to get to see our young men reflected in these books, and he is on the journey of figuring out who he is, figuring out his family history, because he's just come into magic. And this is the sequel to the first book that was Black Boy Magic, I want to say, that was released last year. And so I'm very interested to see what the sequel has up, seeing what he's getting into being in this magical school setting, learning about his family, and diving a little bit more into their rich history. So I'll be picking this one up very soon. As far as Black new release, I'm going to go with Elizabeth Stevens. She's actually going to be on this list twice just because I really adore her. She has a new release that's coming out, is All Superheroes Need Photo Ops, which is the sequel of her superhero stories, where the villains and the good guys are fighting to determine who's going to be the winner of the superhero contest. And this one, we have a new character that is being introduced to us, and our female main character is a photographer journalist, and so she's always in the thick of the action, and she meets who is going to be her fated mate in this one and trying to determine what side he's going to land on. So this is what I will be reading for my Black new release. Now, as I said, Elizabeth Stevens is on this list twice, so I could never turn away from her when it comes to sci-fi. So I'm going to be reading the next one in the Zaviri's Mate series. This is book 6. This is Taken to Lamora. This is the special edition, and obviously it has a beautiful brown skinned woman on this cover. I'm not necessarily sure what's going into this one. It says he's a grumpy clan chief faced with the perilous choice: leave the hybrid behind or claim her and admit she's stolen his heart. So I absolutely love and adore this series. I can't wait to continue on. Elizabeth Stevens always knocks it out the park for sci-fi, so I had to double back and make sure that she was going to be on this list specifically for the sci-fi series piece. Now, an interesting thing is I am also wanting to spotlight some of our Black narrators. I read a lot of audiobooks, and so I'm always looking for a new author, a new narrator. And so this one is a double feature. My pick for new narrator or Black narrator is going to be by Beast by Sky Moon. The narrator is Elizabeth B. I have never listened to her narrator book before, nor have I ever read a Sky Moon book, so I'm very interested to pick this one up. I do know I'm going to see Sky Moon at Petals and Prose, and everyone talks about how good this book. This is a retelling. I believe it is a Beauty and the Beast inspired retelling. Now, I do have a new to me Black author trope, so I am not going to use Sky Moon for that. I'm actually going to use Evelyn Latrice for that, and this is To the Moon. This is a sports romance featuring a character that is on its way to the NFL, and I'm very, very intrigued by this because we are in football seasons. I am watching all of the football games, whether it be collegiate. I've watched some high school football games this year, as well as watching the NFL. So I'm very interested to read To the Moon. I've heard some pretty great things about this book as well as the series, and I can't wait to start it. I could not go on with this list without reading a Black children's or a Black middle grade book. Usually we tend to leave those out, and just because I'm an adult, that does not mean I don't enjoy a middle grade book, specifically when that middle grade book is an Amari book. And so I want to read Amari and the Despicable Wonders. Now, I haven't seen a lot of people talk about this. It's actually been on my TBR for probably a year now, so it's no better time to get this one completed and continue on, because BB Austin and Amari are my favorites. BB is the cousin that I always love to see at family reunions. Like, he just has that feel, and he brings Amari to life in this book. And so I plan on reading Amari and the Despicable Wonders because I just miss them and want to know what the kids are up to. And then lastly, we're going to talk about a Black classic. So as I'm talking about all of these books would not be possible if it wasn't for an originating book that has an author that put us in the forefront of their mind, that's told our stories and made sure that we had a space to create. And so when I think of a Black classic, I'm thinking of Toni Morrison, and this is going to be The Bluest Eye. I've had this one on my TBR for quite some time. I do want to go through and read more of Toni Morrison. This, I believe, was her first novel that she put out there and published. So if I'm going to talk about a classic, I'm going to talk about Toni Morrison's The Bluest Eye, which is going to wrap up my prompts for Noir November. Again, I do reserve the right to change and pick and choose what I want to read for this month, but I want you to know, again, if you are interested, know that you don't have to wait until next year to read more diversely. Whether it comes to the genre, it comes to the author, it comes to the platform, know that there is a Black author and a Black character that is perfect for your taste. I'm going to tell you, these are some fantastic options, but if you are looking for something else that you want to read, know that my channel has a little bit of everything for you. So go look at some of my older Noir November videos. I do have them linked in the cards. There's an entire playlist, but I just encourage you to get interested in some of the books and reading diversely. That being said, do me a favor. As I talked about, it's football season, so leave me a football emoji. Tell me what you plan on reading, and if you're interested in doing Noir November, I may see if I can do a little something extra for this month. I will also have a challenge linked on Storygraph, so if you are into following along and want to participate, come find me on Storygraph. You will see a Noir November for 2025, and I'll talk to y'all later. Bye!